Week 2 for FPL is right around the corner, so let's have a little look at how my team performed in Game Week 1, whether there's anything that is a glaring issue that I need to fix going into Game Week 2, looking at fixtures, potential captaincy options, as well as any intended or forced transfers. So this is the team that we went with last week. I went through this in the first video, you can go and check that out. We are going to do one of these kind of things. Each week is the plan. So we had Areola and Henderson as our goalies. I don't know what happened. I was supposed to have Henderson in goal instead of Areola, so maybe a blessing in disguise that they also lost their game, because it's only a 1-point loss, which, hey, it could determine an entire mini-league. Speaking of, if you're not already in mine, make sure you join it. The link will be down in the description of every single FPL video that I do. But yeah, 1 point is not the end of the world. We were always going to be benching Wout Faes and Harwood Bellis. Southampton not doing as bad as expected, and we did significantly better than expected. Of course we conceded. It was against Spurs. But we managed to draw, which was crazy. So maybe Faes won't be as bad as expected. I'm very, very glad I didn't go with Barco. I didn't get baited into that by all the FPL tipsters and stuff, because if you haven't seen, he is going to go down in price to 3.9 mil most likely, because he's going to Sevilla on loan. So if you've got him and haven't got rid of him already, then maybe you should, otherwise you're going to be stuck 0.1 short. We had Konsa, who he did play the 90 minutes and didn't manage to keep a clean sheet. But if we go into our next fixtures, you've got a great run coming up here outside of this Arsenal game. But we'll get into fixtures in a second. Saliba getting a clean sheet against Wolves is really, really nice. And Pedro Porro, he did pick up a knock in the game against us, but he did get a goal and a bonus point, because the first half they dominated us, and getting forward, he was very, very good. Diogo Jota with 8 points is not too shabby. Not quite as good as Mo Salah, but still a goal is pretty much all that you can ask for, really. He should have had another one from a Trent assist, a header at the back post, but it is what it is. This one frustrated me, because Bruno Fernandes, what a great pick! The positions that this man got into were amazing, and the opportunities that he had for goals were crazy. But somehow, he missed 2 ridiculously good chances and then failed to capitalise on a third. So I don't feel that bad about him getting 3 points, because it shows that it was a good pick, and to keep him in the squad is definitely the plan. The risk in this team is on Nkunku. He only got 1 point because he went off just before the hour mark. I think that was actually the wrong decision by Maresca. He should have subbed off Enzo Fernandez, who was having a bad game. And he should have moved Nkunku into the middle and brought on like Neto or someone like that on the left wing. They now also have João Felix, who is coming in at 6.5 mil. So is Nkunku going to start the next game? Is João Felix going to start up front? If so, he's going to be a better option, because he's a 6.5 midfielder playing a striker role rather than an 8/10 that Nkunku should be playing. He's not as good out on the left, so I don't know why he was played there. Maybe it's to try and just fit Enzo Fernandez into the system. But hopefully Nkunku is going to play centrally in some form in the next game. Chelsea do have, I think it's like a Conference League qualifier or something midweek. So if he doesn't get minutes in that game on Nkunku, that means that he's more likely to start at the weekend. So I will judge whether I want to potentially risk transferring him to João Felix or someone like that based on that fixture. Ødegaard could have had an assist, but managed to only get me 3 points. This one's more frustrating than Bruno and Nkunku, because he is 8.5 mil, but he didn't look as good value as Bruno. Looked worse than Jota in terms of potential point gain. Saka obviously went big. There is always the world where I could upgrade Ødegaard to Saka, downgrade Nkunku to somebody else, like a Rodgers from Villa, and I would be able to afford that, assuming that prices don't change. So that's also a potential. And then the front three, Dominic Solanke actually had a good game against us, I thought, but just didn't manage to get any points. he had a couple of shots in good positions that maybe he should have done better with, to be fair. One of them straight at Mads Hermansen in the middle of the goal. He should have put it to the side of him. But I still think that he's going to be good. His fixtures coming up, next is against Everton, who got battered by Brighton. So I feel like anyone selling Solanke because he didn't do anything in the first game week is crazy when he's got this fixture coming up. If he doesn't really do anything in this one, I can understand people getting a bit antsy with Newcastle and Arsenal following, but it's a bit too early for that. Captain of Isak instead of Haaland, I feel was justified. And even though, by all accounts, Newcastle were actually not doing that well before they got their man sent off, it's obviously limited Isak in what he could do in the game. But maybe going into the next one with a proper full 11, maybe it'll be Gahey by that point, maybe not. Away at Bournemouth, hopefully Isak can do a little bit better. Erling Haaland, of course, scored, but he did get booked, which is frustrating as it does get us that -1. However, I didn't captain him, so people that did will be a little bit more frustrated with that yellow card. On the bench, as I said before, Henderson. Ahmad with 3 points. Did manage 60 minutes, so it's going to be key to keep an eye on him and see how he does. I thought he had an okay game. I didn't think he was fantastic by any means. Bruno was the standout, really, attacking-wise in that game, and Casemiro had a fantastic match, but you're not putting him in FPL. And then Harwood Bellis and Fast, 90 minutes for the both of these is good for 4 mil defenders. So we move on. We got 52 points overall as well, I should say, which is slightly below average, which is not ideal. In terms of my league that you guys have joined, Carter Holland with 99 points. My goodness, that's a big gap between first and second as well. What did you have? Mazraoui, who is tempting for like Konsa. Maybe. What is his next fixture, actually? It's Brighton away, but then Liverpool. Maybe we'll give it a week or two. Pedro Porro, Trent, Captain Mo Salah. Those 14 points for him. Havertz and Saka. Wow. And he did play the bench boost, to be fair, which was a terrible decision. But maybe he's one of those that just tries to get to the top of leagues in the first week, and then that's it. Don't know. But fair play to you. Now, we go to the next game week. Do we make any switches? I could potentially bring Ahmad in for Nkunku, but if I'm giving Nkunku another week before potentially transferring him out, then surely that has to be to start him, right? Pedro Porro, as it stands, I don't believe we've had the Spurs presser in order to know whether he will be available for the next game, so we'll keep him for now. Saliba and Konsa up against each other. Would I rather put in someone like Southampton against Forest or Leicester versus Fulham? Fulham were okay against Man United. I really don't think that Villa will keep a clean sheet against Arsenal, even though they're at home. They didn't keep a clean sheet against West Ham. So I would be tempted to either switch Konsa out for somebody else, maybe, and then bring him back in next week when they go on their better run of fixtures. Like, do I transfer someone in, like, for example, a Mazraoui, to see if I can take advantage of that for one game week? Or do I try and just bank that free transfer and start someone like a Farce and hope for the best? I'm not sure yet. Diogo, obviously going to play. Bruno, not going anywhere. Same with Ødegaard, and same with the front three. Of course, we are going to captain Erling Haaland this week. Some people are risking a triple captain, which I don't actually hate the idea of, because there's going to be less double game weeks this year. They've already confirmed that. I think it's the FA Cup quarterfinals that normally create the most big double game weeks for the biggest teams. Those aren't going to clash with the Prem this season, so you're less likely to have big double game weeks for those kind of players. Also, later in the season, it's also going to clash with the Champions League if those teams are still in as well, and you're going to be rotating minutes. So I don't hate the triple captain on Haaland that a lot of people are going for, but I just don't think I can... I'm not gutsy enough to do it this early in the season. So I think I'm going to roll my free transfer, dependent on whether we get any injury information or anything like that. Concert out would be a temptation. Nkunku only if it looks like he's going to start midweek and then therefore not at the weekend. I may change him. But as it stands, I'm happy with the squad. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to get rid of loads of players and think, oh my god, I didn't get 80 points. It's a nightmare. So I don't need to do much, okay? There were some good showings from people that didn't get big points, especially Solanke and Bruno Fernandes. On another day, they would have each scored a brace. So we don't need to worry. I think I'm happy with what I've got, and I'm most likely going to stick unless news comes out from press conferences, and you'll obviously have to wait and see with the update video following this game week. But that is my game week 2 team. Nothing's changing. There's the update on the league. Let me know how you're doing, how many points you got in game week 1, and I'll see you guys for another one very soon. In a bit.